morning everyone and welcome to Market Fatafat right here on ET Now. It's a quiet market, up 0.2%. The broader end of the market though is continuing its losing ways, 95 points down on the small cap index. But we have quite a few stocks that we'll be discussing today, so let's get straight to it. Our team of research analysts are all standing by, and Kunal Bothra and Sameet Chavan with us on the technicals. Well, first up, let's start off by addressing some earnings, and HDFC Bank clearly the focal point of the weekend. The profit growth was healthy and that was largely led by a strong NII growth. Even the fee income was strong. You had the NIMs as well expanding about 10 basis points sequentially, and strong advances growth by about 24%. Well, brokerages as well reacting. Nomura said that this is one of the preferred stocks within the banking space. They have a buy rating with a target price of 2,350 on the stock. Citi believes that the operating performance remains strong. The recent capital raise should support the healthy loan growth. They have a buy with a target price of 2,500. Let's also listen in to the highlights of the management conference call of HDFC Bank.
I think we have been seeing reasonable amount of flows, not just now, but even since the fourth quarter of last year. The flows continue to be pretty stable. As I just mentioned to you, I think we have a very comfortable liquidity position. So we are not bidding for high cost deposits, which is quite prevalent in the markets today, especially on the wholesale side. So the flows on the retail side continues to be pretty strong and stable. I wouldn't say that it's extraordinary in the recent past. Probably you're hinting at whether because of the mutual fund redemptions, whether flows are coming back into the banking system. See, very difficult to sort of really track that. But having said that, if you really look at the industry growth of deposits, which was just reported, it's about 8%, and we have grown about 21%. So obviously, that should sort of, reflect that there has been a bit of a market share gain there.
The view coming in on HDFC Bank, 2,000 is where the stock is at. Moving on then to IT, and it's a rough run for Mindtree, Kunal.
So yes, Avan, and I think after that big sell-off which happened on Friday, the stock is seeing a follow-through of that selling reaction. So even though it's muted to the extent of 3.5%, but nevertheless it's still seeing a follow-through. And on long-term charts now, Mindtree is at very strong supports, which is at 775, 780 levels. If it breaks this level, I believe a fresh short opportunity could be created on Mindtree. Targets could be kept at 720 or below.
All right, watch out for Mindtree. That's the view coming in. The stock is clearly seeing accelerated selling pressure. Short, says Kunal. Meantime, Mubina, let's talk about another IT counter and dissect persistence numbers for us, because the stock is having a pretty hefty beating today.
Well, yes, deeper in the red really for Persistent Systems. Dollar revenue lower by 4.4%. That's really the concerning factor. Declining growth trend on a sequential basis. Profits have just jumped up about 0.8%, but that's partially aided by the margins too. Now, the management says that the revenue has been partly impacted on account of project short closure. The stock, of course, has taken a beating. It's trading below all the key DMAs. Volumes, by the way, are highest in 8 months.
All right, that's a stock to keep on your radar. Clearly, it's not been an impressive quarter, and the project short closure has really affected the earnings. Investors hitting the sell button. Let's move right on then to another stock to watch out for, and that is Titan. In fact, let's understand what kind of trends we're seeing today, Siddharth.
Trend is not positive, though one would say that it's not a very meaningful fall in Titan, but the reason to shortlist the stock and talk in Fatafat session is about what's happening in future segment. Around more than 30% rise in open interest and some deviation in price. We are seeing that this 820 resistance is not getting challenged, and it has gained strength. And from that resistance zone, again stock is correcting with huge formation of position.
All right, watch out for that Titan 781. Moving right on then, let's also understand what the technical take is on Aurobindo. The stock is managing to buck the trend. Would you bet on it, Sameet?
See, Avan, the stock has been consolidating since last 1.5 months in a range of 784 to 735. So whenever it dips down towards 735, it tends to attract some kind of buying interest. At the same time, 784 seems to be very strong resistance. So as a trader, one has to wait for a breakout to happen, decisive breakout beyond 784. That would confirm a breakout. In that case, the stock can head toward 810, 820. So as of now, we would expect continuation of this consolidation. One has to wait for a breakout to happen beyond 784.
Alright, wait for a breakout. That's the take coming in on Aurobindo, currently in consolidation mode. Karanya, India Bulls Housing as well is in focus for multiple reasons.
That's right. It's in focus, Avan, on back of reports that it's planning to sell all or part of its stake to UK-based PE fund, which is Oak North. This is according to reports. So it's at a nascent stage at this point of time. But yes, 18.7% stake is what the ET report is suggesting. Or it could be a part of that as well. We are not sure at this point of time, like I said. The deal, if it goes through, will help India Bulls Housing Finance rake in over 6 times of gain on investment in just less than 3 years of time. So clearly on back of that, we're seeing a strong surge come by in the stock price as well.
Alright, finally putting the brakes on that fall. That's India Bulls Housing Finance, 9%. Meantime, Mubina, let's also chat about about SBI. There's quite a few updates here.
Well, yes, and this has got to do with resolution of certain cases. Well, not resolution, but at least one step ahead when it comes to the resolution process. We're talking about SR Steel with a massive 49,000 crore rupee debt it has. The committee of creditors, mostly led by SBI, given the fact that it does have maximum exposure to SR Steel, has approved ArcelorMittal as the first preference bidder. And not just that, the important thing is the lenders will not have to take any haircut. So this is a massive positive for a lot of these lenders. That means that SR Steel, post the resolution of, or rather SBI, post SR Steel's debt resolution, will receive the full 13,600 odd crore rupees as per reports that SR Steel owes to SBI, and that is a positive. Plus, we also have, of course, that fundraising meeting that is expected. The outcome is expected today. So all eyes will be on SBI ahead of that too.
Alright, keep an eye out on SBI 263 with all those developments. Meantime, it's on the earnings radar, and that is Asian Paints, which is looking quite tempered prior to its numbers. Profits are expected higher by about 3% at 595 crore rupees. We're expecting the top line growth to come at 4,787 crores. The domestic decorative volume growth is seen at 10%. Margins are seen expanding to 19.2%. Gross margins, though, will be flat despite the high raw material costs and the rupee depreciation. The cut in the GST rates as well could potentially aid growth further. And remember, what would help the margins would be the tight cost control and the higher operating leverage. But Asian Paints, prior to its earnings, is taking it a bit easy. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is where the stock is coincidentally trading at right now. Well, let's move right on to number 9 then, and that is Hindalco. What exactly are the crucial support levels to that?
Well, no such level, the mention which you mentioned for Asian Paints, but certainly we are seeing formation of short positions over here, Avan, and at the same time we are also seeing that it's moving towards crucial support of 215. Mind you, Hindalco is not a stock which is in a corrective trend. It has been consolidating and it has been doing well. So within this consolidation, the lower side of the range is 215, which is a strong support, and the way build-up is happening, it seems that it is moving towards that support zone.
Okay, that's the take coming in on Hindalco, 223. Well, let's shift gears then from metals and chat more banks, and that's RBL Bank, which is continuing to see acute selling pressure, Karanya. What exactly does Morgan Stanley have to say?
They have actually downgraded the stock, Avan, and that's why we're seeing so much of selling pressure come by. They've downgraded it to underweight. They are seeing a couple of concerns at this point of time. One would be higher funding costs. Valuations they don't think are attractive at all at this point of time, and that's why they have decided for downgrading the stock.
Keep an eye out on RBL, 7% down, third straight day on the trot that the selling pressure is picking up. Meantime, Kunal, let's understand what kind of a pattern we're seeing on PFC and trade today, and what's your advice at 81?
So in the last 1 month, Avan, the stock is trying to test this 83 mark. There have been 5 attempts to try and scale or cross this 83 marks. But the attempt has been more futile for PFC. But what has been very positive is the resurgence of indicators. The momentum indicators in the last 5 attempts have started to inch up higher, and now the stock is trying to break, or rather come back to this resistance points one more time. If the momentum indicators give a positive breakout, then I believe price should also follow suit. So I believe a short-term trader could look at a buy on PFC above 83. Targets could be kept at 88 to 90 range.
All right, watch out for PFC. That's where the stock is at, and that's what you need to watch out for by way of levels. Mubina, meantime, what is going on with metal prices and Vedanta?
Well, there's a very important update that has come by from China, and that is they're going to be injecting more liquidity into the economy to essentially prop up operations. Metal prices have gone up quite a bit. Copper prices have zoomed, so has nickel. And of course, it's something that's caused even metal counters around the world to go higher. Vedanta, which does have a large exposure to a lot of the metals, has certainly will certainly be impacted by this move. Additionally, of course, the other news flow is with respect to Vedanta not being selected as the preferred bidder for SR Steel. That could perhaps be putting a lid on the gains for Vedanta, which after Electro Steel Steels is now eyeing SR Steel.
All right, that's the latest coming in 214. That's where Vedanta is at. Well, let's move on then to Sudarshan Chemicals. Don't flag this one often. So why is it in focus today, Karanya?
In focus on back of a fund activity, Akash Bansali has bought 8% stake in the company, and that's the big update that we have, and that is why the rally on the stock price.
All right, that's the fund activity that's keeping the stock in news today. Moving right on then, it's Ultratech Cement as well that came out with its earnings. What a brokerage is saying, well, HSBC believes that the EBITDA per ton has hit a 7-year low. The rising pressure has resulted in margin contraction. They see a downside to FY19 earnings as well if there is a meaningful price hike that does not actually materialize. They've cut the target price to 3,220 from 3,300 and maintain a reduced rating. Ultratech Cement investors clearly giving a thumbs down to the earnings. Moving right on then, at number 15, it's heavyweight HDFC. That's on your radar, Siddharth.
And if you look at, some of the NBFCs, they have been cracking big time. And we end up talking about DHFL or Indiabulls Housing Finance or something like that. But there are a lot of things which are slipping. And HDFC Limited is also one of that name. And if you look at the intraday chart, it started pretty well. Then you see the dip. It almost went into red and now again showing signs of bounce back. But overall, there is formation of short positions. So don't go on this 0.8% up move. If you look at the intraday move, then short positions were formed when stock was coming down. And positionally also, HDFC Limited, like most of the NBFC space, is under pressure. Watch out for that zone, 1630, 1650, because that's a strong support. And if that goes, then this stock is in a problem.
All right, that's important to keep an eye out on. HDFC on the radar. Tell you what, let's take a quick break right here on the show. Come right back for more stocks on Market Fatafat. Welcome back. This is Market Fatafat. Let's get right back to the countdown. And Samit, let's talk about Reliance Industries. How are you looking at the stock based on the chart pattern, given the fact that after the results, we saw quite a smackdown?
So the stock has been enjoying, its 18 months bull run without any major correction. And in last 1.5 months, we have already seen some kind of profit booking happening from higher levels. So the stock has corrected a bit, then again recovered, and now we believe that the stock is now likely to see some kind of time-wise consolidation, wherein the range on the higher side would be around 1140 and low side 1060. So we expect this consolidation to happen within this range of 50 to 60 points.
All right, that's the view coming in. Consolidation moves and range-bound moves expected in Reliance Industries. As we speak, down almost 2%. Mubina, Biocon as well is in focus today.
Well, yes, a brokerage note actually on Biocon is something that has caused that stock to go higher today in trade. Now, in fact, it's higher by close to 2.8%. And they're talking about various triggers for Biocon. First up, of course, is with respect to the fact that Citi believes that this company is gathering pace. The opening positive is a catalyst watch. The Merck, by the way, has dropped Glargine biosimilar, which could result in Biocon gaining. The other big monitorable is the Fulphila ramp up in the United States, another drug by Biocon. That too is a key monitorable, and on account of this positive note, we are seeing an uptick in the stock price.
All right, yes indeed, that brokerage note is keeping the stock active in trade. Meantime, what exactly are the long-term plans being charted for Tata Sponge, Karanya?
primarily in focus because they're having a board meet on 24th of October, which is day after tomorrow, and they're planning to raise funds. So on back of that, one needs to watch out for what the outcome of the board meet will be. What is the route that they are planning to take to raise funds, and how do they plan to use it is more importantly something to be watched out for.
All right, clearly we'll have to wait and watch what emerges from that board meet. But in the meantime, let's also keep an eye out on Alembic Pharma. That stock in news. The news hit the exchanges just earlier this morning. In fact, they are looking at one of their joint ventures which have gone ahead and cleared the US FDA inspection. This is at their Karakhadi plant, and clearly the stock in the green on the back of that. Moving right on to Tata Global Beverages as well, and we're seeing some pretty strong volumes, I believe, Siddharth.
Yes, in fact, volumes are almost double of last session, but last session volumes were less. We are seeing correction taking place in this stock from 240 odd levels. Now 240 has time and again in last few months proved to be a strong resistance, and as I mentioned, the cash volumes are high. We are also seeing some formation of short positions, Avan, which means that this stock, again, it's a range bound stock with slight negative bias, but 240 has been strong resistance. If you look at charts, then you'll see that 210, 215 is the zone where it goes and stabilizes and bounces back from. So within the range, it's probably moving from upper side of the range to the lower side of the range. That's what statistics are indicating.
All right, at the low point of the trading day right now, unable to breach the resistance of 240. Moving on then to IndusInd Bank, and let's understand, Kunal, what exactly would be the ideal approach right now? Is it time to nibble in?
So in the last 3 months, the stock has shaved off almost 20–24% from its 3-month high. But on the long-term charts now, IndusInd Bank is at a very strong support zone. So I think that 1530, 1540 range, which the stock is trying to double test this time around, and that too on slightly higher volumes, I think gives it a chart to really sort of look at on long-term basis, because if the stock breaks this trend line support at 1530, this could be a big reversal of almost a 2-year uptrend for IndusInd Bank. So I think a medium-term investor has to look out for a break below 1530 to create fresh short positions on IndusInd Bank.
All right, that's the take coming in on IndusInd Bank. Moving right on then, it's Jet Airways that's yet again in focus, Mubina.
Well, yes, for two reasons. One, that they've asked some of their employees to actually take a leave of absence. They've trimmed their staff and is opting to essentially fly out of the financial crisis, if one may say so. This is as per an ET report. The other big news is that the reports with respect to a Tata Group buying majority stake, which did come out last week and which caused the stock as well to rally quite a bit. Jet Airways has clarified, saying that those talks, which reports had spoken about, are majorly speculative. I suppose this clarification and additionally the fact that Brent once again touched $80 per barrel has put downward pressure on the stock of not only Jet but also the other aviation names.
All right, yes indeed it has. Keep an eye out on Jet Airways though. Lots of reports, lots of buzz brewing around this one. Moving right on then, SH Kelkar, let's understand what exactly the company has undertaken by way of price hikes, Karanya.
Well, Avan, they have undertaken a price hike. This is primarily to offset the pressure that they have been witnessing on the raw material side. So they're partially trying to offset that impact. They are also seeing a revenue growth in core fragrance division to remain healthy. So that's a segment that the management has guided us about, that they're betting big on.
All right, that's certainly something to keep an eye out on. Flat for the stock right now. Meantime, JioGiga Fiber, their ambitious plans, they put money into Hathway as well as Den Networks on the day of the results. And the repercussions really being felt on the DTH industry, which is really going to see quite a bit of pricing pressure, as well as very strong competitive intensity, akin to what happened in the telecom space. In fact, on account of that, Citi has downgraded Dish TV to sell. They have a target price now at 47 rupees. They believe that the competitive as well as the business risks are only going to intensify. And they say that within the media space, they prefer broadcasters, the likes of Sun TV as well as the entertainment. Down and out in trade yet again, that's Dish TV slumping 7%. At number 25, then Yes Bank is continuing to remain on the radar and not for the right reasons. It's down and out in trade yet again, Siddharth.
Continuation of short positions which we are seeing in Yes Bank. All that rally which we saw, yes, there was some formation of longs as well, but more selling pressure and more shorts getting formed on the downward side. We are also seeing that today volumes are not very high, but one should give weightage to what's happening in terms of open interest, and that's rising. So watch out for this zone of 200, 210 because that's where probably Yes Bank would probably stabilize. That's what statistics are indicating.
All right, that's important to keep an eye out on. That's Yes Bank for you. Well, let's move right on. Shift gears then from banks to autos, and it's Bajaj Auto that is managing to hold out in top gear today. Sameet, what exactly is the trend that you're observing?
See, Avan, this has been a laggard for a while now. It is now trading around its multi-month support levels, which is in the zone of 2500, 2450. Yes, today we are seeing some kind of positive traction in this counter, but 2650 is the level to watch out for. If the stock manages to sustain beyond 2650, then only we could see some short-term trend reversal happening in this counter. In that case, the stock can give a decent bounce back. But as of now, one has to wait and watch. 2500 on the lower side and 2650 on the higher side. These are the levels to watch out for.
Okay, important to note that the stock is trending around the multi-month supports. Meantime, it's Piramal Enterprises and Mubina, some very categorical clarifications coming in from the management's end.
Yeah, and that's perhaps the reason why you are seeing some support come by to Piramal Enterprises. The management has clarified very clearly that they do not have any loan exposure to the defaulters in the realty space, namely Supertech, Aristo, Nahar and Radius. They have said, however, that they do have some realty names like Lodha, Omkar, Vatika as well as Embassy. That's a part of their loan portfolio. However, up until now, there's been no default by these entities, either by interest or their debt obligations, and perhaps that clarification is supporting this stock.
All right, that's the view coming in on Piramal Enterprises. Meantime, it's DHFL as well, and currently in the red. Karanya, what's the latest update?
Well, Avan, the latest update is that they're planning to sell their loan book to a couple of banks. This is for their subsidiary Aadhar Housing Finance, which is a unit of the group where DHFL holds about 9.2% stake. They're seeking to sell majority of its saleable loan portfolio to banks in order to tide over the entire liquidity crunch that's been putting pressure on the bank for the last couple of last many weeks. In fact, they're in talks with 6 banks. That includes the likes of SBI, ICICI Bank, and even Bank of Baroda, and this is for a loan book of worth 1,200 crore rupees.
Right, that's the latest coming in on DHFL. On that note, then, we'll wrap it up right here on the show from the entire team. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for Markets at Noon.